the older you become, the more important your entertainment value is. Had a wonderful day. That is completely meaningless. Only then you throw the ball back. In this video, I'm going to share the top 10 mistakes that kill a conversation. And when you know what those mistakes are, you have a chance to become a person with a very high entertainment value, which means that you will be acquiring admirers, friends, and possibly new clients along the way. The truth is, the older you become, the more important your entertainment value is. And when you don't know what those mistakes are and you're making those mistakes, you're not getting paid what you're worth, you're not getting second dates. And in general, people don't really want that much to spend time with you. So it's just that important. So please stay tuned. My name is Luba Evans, and I am a creator of magnetic communication method.
Luba Evans is a secret weapon behind hundreds of wins in relationships, careers, and businesses for over 2 decades. Harvard speaker, master coach to thousands with a client list that screams global influence. United Nations, Smithsonian, CNN. Now picture this. You step into a high-stakes negotiation and boom, you own the room. On a date, you're not just making small talk. You're forging deep, unforgettable connections, irresistible and irreplaceable. Because Luba's magnetic communication method turns you into a communication powerhouse. You're not just heard, you're remembered. You're not waiting, you're setting the pace. You're not playing the game, you're setting the rules. Magnetic.
Know how to communicate, you become irreplaceable. And instead of being a piece of meat, especially on the dating meat market, you become a piece of art. So stay tuned. Talking about yourself too much. When you meet a new person, or even when you're talking to someone that you have known for a very long time, avoid the mistake of constantly talking about yourself. I want to share that many women that I work with complain that when they go on a date, somebody that they're talking to is just talking about themselves, not only on a date, but for example, if you're a mother and your child is calling you to check in or to share what they're going through, moving the conversation into the place of your biggest comfort, which is talking about your own self, is not to your advantage. One time I was in a restaurant and I witnessed a scene when there was a mother who was about 60 and her son and wife was sitting at the table. And so this mother completely dominated the conversation for about 2 hours to such an extent that at a certain point, I really felt like coming up to her and saying, yeah, and this would be a good time to actually listen to your son. That would serve you really well, because that son and his wife were getting very tired. So how many times are they gonna want to meet with that mother? We don't know. Same thing happened when I went to celebrate a birthday of a friend of mine, and there was a man at the table who kept talking about himself. And the most importantly is that he was saying things which were not relevant to other people. And everybody at the table was feeling really shy and they did not know what to do. They did not know how to politely stop that man. And at a certain point, that man said something like, and this doesn't make any sense. I intervened and I said, yeah, you're right, this does not make any sense. But what would make sense is right now for us to celebrate the birthday of my friend. And maybe now everybody can chip in and talk about what they love about her. So avoid talking about yourself too much. This will not bring you to the light of being a sought after speaker, coach, partner, even a friend or member of a family. Next one, speaking in general platitudes. So when somebody is asking you, how are you? And you say something like, I'm great. that is a meaningless phrase. That phrase has been used and overused. There are many other cliches which make you look like you're not really in touch with yourself. It makes you look like you're not really in the moment, that you're just abstractly talking about something because you know you should be saying those things. General platitudes also come in from the place of leading with your masculine as opposed to your feminine. For example, when you come on a date and somebody is asking you, how was your day? And you would say something like, yeah, it was great, or yeah, I had a wonderful day. That is completely meaningless. Things like general platitudes, like she was wearing a beautiful dress, or everything is going to be all right, they are truly meaningless, and they make you look like you are disconnected from your heart and disconnected from reality. They're also really terrible for expressing yourself in writing. So when you're writing a poem, a song, a story, come into detail and talk about things that another person can feel, that another person can visualize, that they can imagine what it smells like or what it feels. For example, if you ask me, how are you feeling right now, Luba? I could say, yeah, I'm feeling great. Yeah, and that would be a general platitude. Or I could say something like, I'm really enjoying the smell of this flower that I just picked, the freshness of it, and it reminds me of the same kind of lilac that I loved when I was growing up in St. Petersburg, Russia. And actually, when I was a girl, I used to love to find 5 petal flowers on this branch, and that would make me feel that some miracle is happening. And this is how I feel. And then you can smell it, and then you can take a little pause, and then you can take a breath. And that's what makes you truly connect to the person you're talking to. Another big mistake is speaking about the past in the past tense and going into long narratives. For example, if somebody is asking you, so tell me, when you were growing up in Texas, for example, how was it? How was your childhood? What was happening as you were growing up? And if you start the narrative that consists of a big to-do list, for example, first I went to kindergarten, then I went to school, then I went to college, then I went to graduate school, and you can feel right away how boring it is, and you immediately want to fall asleep, even watching this video. And so I'm talking about what happened to me in the past, and I'm also using those general platitudes. I'm also using very general, abstract words. I'm not giving any details. I'm not really breathing. I'm not making you feel what I am talking about. Another big mistake is speaking in circles. So if you are guilty of that, maybe put that into the comments here. That happens when a person starts to speak about something and never finishes the loop. And so that way, another person who is listening can go completely mad trying to follow what you're trying to say. So when you're coming up with a thought, it is a very good practice, even if you get distracted, to make sure to finish that thought. And sometimes you can even say, and just to finish that thought, that is going to make you feel fulfilled. It's going to make you feel like you're in control, that your mind is sharp, and that you remember with clarity what is it that you were trying to express, as opposed to speaking in the following way. So let me give you an example of speaking in circles. One time I was talking to my friend Jana, and she told me about her husband, and that husband has a sister, and that sister works in TJ Maxx. And one time somebody came to TJ Maxx and they really wanted to get something on a discount, and they found this incredible diamond necklace. And so do you see how many circles I just made? And of course, another partner feels completely lost in what I call diarrhea of consciousness. So be very watchful and very clear about the one thought that you intend to express. Next mistake is asking a lot of questions in a way that it sounds like an interview. Again, on a date, when you want to find out many things about another person, asking questions like, yeah, and so what are you looking for? And what do you do for work? And how do you want to spend your holiday? And tell me about your ex-partner. All those questions sound very interview-like. And again, those questions come out as if you are not really in your heart, as if you are just gathering information. And that sounds really transactional. So instead of that, you can ask a question like, tell me, what have you learned about love in your life? And then that person will really be inspired to open up and to tell you what's the most important, and emotional connection will be established. And then if, for example, you want to find out about their ex, you can say something like, when he or she starts talking about their ex, you can come up with a real concern in your tone and real compassion and ask this question. So tell me what happened. Then that kind of way of questioning from the heart with concern is something that is going to make you closer, as opposed to those very cerebral interview-like questions. Another mistake is, of course, criticizing. Let's say somebody brought you a gift. A client of mine shared how her mother was sick and she brought her some kind of a barbecue. And the mother, instead of saying, thank you so much for this barbecue, I really appreciate that you thought about me and that you chose this for me, although maybe this is not the best thing for me to eat right now. And so instead, the mother said, look at this fat. Look at this fat. Do you think I can eat this fat? And so that implies that the daughter made a bad choice. It can also imply something even worse, like that the daughter is stupid. And so, in some way, it is criticism, it is criticizing. Another form of criticism is to make an assessment of your friend, for example, and to say, is everything okay with you? It seems like you gained a lot of weight. Oh, you look good, you lost weight. In some way, it is also a hidden criticism because it implies that before that person wasn't looking good. Okay, so be very careful with that. And some people are very sensitive to criticism, especially if they were criticized when they were children. The next mistake is lack of validation. And here is what it means. When another person is sharing something about themselves and you are sitting there, and instead of truly listening and trying to imagine what it was like for this other person, all you're thinking about is how you want to share what's important to you. And you want to chime in, and maybe you want to come in and say something like, yeah, me too. And this is what happened to me. And this is about me. So instead, it's very important to validate what another person is saying. And this is going to sound something like this. Let's say a person is saying, I was sick for a couple of weeks. And so instead of saying, I was sick too, validation would be showing that person that you heard them and you can imagine how it felt, or maybe you can't imagine how it felt. But the validation is about, yes, I heard you, I'm witnessing your experience. So, for example, if somebody said, I was sick for a couple of weeks, validating that person would sound like, I'm so sorry, or something like, yeah, I'm sure that didn't feel so good. Or you can say something like, yeah, I hear you, and I'm glad that you're here now. Whatever that is, imagine that another person is throwing a ball at you and you have to catch that ball. But instead of immediately throwing that ball back, you can make an elegant movement and to show, yes, I took it on my heart. I heard it in my heart, what you just shared with me. And only then you throw the ball back. The next mistake is, mostly in the world of dating, is talking too much about your past relationships, especially when you just met this person for the first time. When you just met a person and they're asking you, why are you single, for example, jumping into the temptation to talk about your exes is a very dangerous territory, especially if you have nothing good to say about your exes. So instead of going into the past, I recommend to keep the conversation in the present, connected to your body, connected to your breath, connected to the present moment. So when you talk a lot about your exes, it takes the conversation away from the two of you. And very possibly, the other person doesn't want to hear too much about your ex. And very possibly that will show something about you, which is not very flattering. So if you're saying things about your ex, which are a little bit negative or very negative, that also shows that somehow you chose that person for a reason. And especially if you're playing, let's say, a victim, that the reason why you separated was all their fault, you're actually showing that you haven't done the inner work and you haven't taken responsibility for your part in the way the relationship ended, or in your part that you actually chose that person. So when somebody's asking you a question about your ex, especially in the beginning of a dating process, it's much better to say, let's concentrate on us right now. And when we get into a deep emotional connection, I'm sure there will be a time when we can share more about the past. Another mistake is how you're ordering things in a restaurant. Some women that I work with before they come to the magnetic communication class, they feel that it is a feminine thing to do when somebody is asking them, what is it that you want to eat? To say, what do you want? And just to go along with another person. The reality is, when you know what you want and you know it to a reasonable detail, that shows that you know what you want in life, that shows that you know what you want to be done to you, possibly even in a more intimate environment, that shows that you are someone who loves herself, someone who honors her feelings, someone who has taken time to explore your taste, to explore your likes and dislikes. Let's say option A would be, okay, so I don't know, I just want, I want this dish maybe, and I don't know, what would you recommend? So that is A, and that is showing that you're not really in touch with yourself. That is showing that you are really waiting for another person's approval. And now look at option B, and B would be, yeah, I would like that salad dressing on the side, please. And I would like a peach iced tea. Make it cold, please, but no ice. All right. And so that immediately carries a different type of energy and shows that you really know what you want. So there are so many other things to learn in the magnetic communications that are going to take you to the next level.
Imagine you are at a critical business meeting or on an exciting date. You are impeccably dressed, fully prepared, and ready to make a great impression. But there is just one tiny glitch. Unintentionally, you might be making a small mistake, like walking around with a bright, glaring red ketchup stain on your pristine white shirt. This blunder can be painfully obvious, yet you might not even realize you are making it. Think about it. How many times have things not gone your way and you couldn't figure out why? This could be why. Whether it is in your professional or personal life, it is crucial to recognize this misstep in your communication before it does more damage. Imagine how critical this unnoticed error could appear to others, affecting how they see you and possibly deciding your fate in both personal and professional setting. Despite an overall successful interaction, what do you think will be remembered? Yes, that minor blip, your ketchup stain. Why is it relevant to you? Because it symbolizes those subtle yet critical communication errors you might not even realize you're making. These can be what's standing between you and sealing that deal or forging a deeper connection. But here is the good news. I have developed a method to spot and eliminate these ketchup stains. my magnetic communication method, grounded in the principles of NLP, Ericksonian hypnosis, and embodied somatic practices, is crafted to refine your communication. This ensures that you're not just heard, you are remembered. You're not just waiting, you are setting the pace. You're not just playing the game, you are setting the rules of the game. Here is my invitation to you. My team and I are offering 10 free clarity calls this week. Let's spend 45 minutes together on Zoom. I will help you identify and smooth out those hidden rough spots in your communication, propelling you to a greater success and deeper relationships. There is absolutely no catch. Consider this my gift to you. And for everyone who takes the call, I'm also giving away a free copy of my Magnetic Communication Blueprint. This guide will be your roadmap to mastering communications that captivate and influence, whether it is in a boardroom or in your personal life. So, click on the link and schedule your free coaching session now.